Welcome to episode 443 of the Steel Cage Podcast. My name is Derek Montia, and I am usually known as the mayor of Reseda, California, but I was recently informed that I have been let go. Joining me are two other guys who also no longer have jobs. First, to my left, he's acquiring food stamps right now as we speak. It's Uncle Beek.
Oh, that shit hits home. I grew up on fucking food stamps, bro.
Poor kid.
I didn't touch you.
A kid once made up a song when I was a kid about me being on welfare to this rhythm of "Mama Said Knock You Out." So it's a very tragic thing that happened to me as a child.
Oh my God.
Thank you very much.
Wow, I'm glad I'm digging deep.
All true.
Just eat another drug.
Well, that voice you heard is applying for unemployment in the state of Arizona, but they are once again acquiring him to apply for jobs. So he said, screw it. It's T.O. Neo.
Yeah, they fired me from the temple. Cannot clean blood. Cannot wash jock straps anymore. No more sweeping up.
They were basically consolidating down our cleaning services to one dude, and it's Justin, the referee. That's it.
Yeah, that piece of shit.
And he has to clean everything.
Justin,
I still remember what you did to Candace Bola in 2014, and I will never forgive you. Josh, do we have any emails? No, we don't. You know why? Because everybody's been fired. Everybody's been let go.
I think we're gonna fire Josh this time around.
Yeah, Josh is fired. I think we were gonna have Super Jude Jared Rabinovitz on this show, but we fired him. We let go of all editors and staff. And pretty much this is it, the three of us. And unfortunately, I was tasked to tell the both of you that
we work for Wrestle Stamps. So
they clean shopped.
Yeah.
But guess what, guys? We're still here. We're persevering. We're gonna record this episode for y'all.
All right.
Y'all's.
Well.
Yeah, you can't do. What do you say to that, Nick Khan?
Yeah. Beek's recording this for God's sake. Can you believe that? The news came out today, again, via Sean Sapp on Twitter, and eventually WWE's own account, that they had released several superstars, including Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Lana, Buddy Murphy, Santana Garrett.
So bad.
And I think that's it. Did I miss anybody? Ruby Riott.
Tom Phillips recently.
And then Wolf. VD, also known as Velveteen Dream, Jessamine Duke, Vanessa Bourne, Brandy Lauren, Kavita, Ezra, Jake Clemens, Drake, Mark Carano, the guy that lets everybody go, got let go. Samoa
He
Joe.
had to call himself in the mirror.
Can you imagine Mark Carano having to call himself to let himself go? What an awkward conversation that had.
And Mark, hey, I hope nobody finds about those belts I stole.
Yeah, I wonder if he jumped on Zoom and had a Zoom meeting with himself, or if he just did it over the phone. I bet he texted himself.
Yeah, he's like drinking red wine. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
And it was a box of red wine.
Yeah, Franzia.
Oh man, just hitting it up like this.
Franzia.
You know,
and then the
those, by the way, you don't have to leave them in the box. It's a bag inside the box. You can just pop that bad boy out.
So it's a
squeeze it right into your mouth, so like a giant Capri Sun.
You can just literally IV that thing then, really.
Correct.
If you got a steady hand.
See, you're getting it. You get it. This guy gets it.
Also, Drake tested positive. He revealed today, or not today, but recently, that he tested positive for COVID. The COVID-denying dope. Yes.
Are you shitting me?
No.
He really tested positive for COVID?
He admitted that at one point. I don't know if it was recently, but at one point he did test positive. The COVID-denying dope.
Oh, COVID makes fools of so many people that don't want to claim its existence.
Not to sidetrack us completely, by the way.
No, I mean, Drake Wirtz was recently let go, and so that's valid, and it's a relevant comment to make. I find it to be personally hilarious. Whatever. I mean, that's just karma for you, right? I mean, you can't go around pretending like something like this doesn't exist, like it's some sort of conspiracy cover up to kill hundreds of thousands of Americans.
Well, he's probably excited that he got it and survived because it's just more evidence like this shit is bullshit. People survive it. It says more credence to him, probably.
That's nuts to me because I mean, you're probably right.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, I feel like that thing trying to remind you that you are not, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Drake uses that for all sorts of his personal agenda. And to be honest, that personal agenda, the QAnon agenda, was something I was surprised today to find out that was kind of following Aleister Black around. Not that Aleister Black believes in any of that or that he's a part of any of that, but apparently that QAnon supporters believe that Aleister Black was somehow involved with pedophilia based on his character and his tattoos and things like that.
Holy shit.
His history with being, his history with his parents who worship, who were Luciferians, who, as he says, which is different than like Satanists. Right, yeah, like there's just different degrees to this thing. His character is very real, but at the same time, he admitted today while he was doing this lengthy discussion on Twitch about just everything that went on with his character in WWE was pretty eye-opening. Like, first of all, they've protected Aleister Black's character so much that to hear him talk as much as he did today on Thea Trinidad's Twitch was mind-blowing. This guy had like 5 years of pent-up stuff he's been wanting to talk about that he just let all out.
He literally said the last 2 years of his WWE career were like a slow death. You can imagine that? Just you personifying like your time somewhere is like dying.
But also
slowly.
at the same time, it being your dream job. Like you go to achieve your dream, and when you get there, you're like, holy shit, this is hell. This is hell.
That's the biggest thing that I find to be disappointing, right? Is like WWE, you get there and not only is it difficult to stand out and make yourself a top person in the company, right? But on top of that, the schedule is absolutely rigorous. And at least they had this time off for this period while they were in the Thunderdome. But starting in the middle of July, they're going to go back on the road.
Yep.
And they're going to go right back to that rigorous schedule. There's not a lot about WWE working for them that's very forgiving. It feels like even when you have a top spot in the company, like what Braun Strowman seemed to obtain, you're still not safe, right? Strowman outperformed, or let's say he outkicked his coverage, right?
100%.
Like, Strowman at best was seen at times as being just a guy that was going to be with the Wyatt family or with somebody else, maybe as their bodyguard or something like that. Instead, he broke out as a top guy within the company. He was
legitimately the hottest thing they had for a good period of time.
Yeah.
And then they just totally like, ugh. I wonder if it actually was him or them just like, yeah, maybe he's not ready quite yet. Let's just wait and we'll do it again later.
But Beek, let's not forget that he was champion, like really, like not too long ago. He also,
but that was even more like it felt like way too late. When the Roman had the title a while before Roman even got sick and left, Braun Strowman was legitimately the hottest guy on both shows, and he should have beat Roman for the title at that time, and they didn't.
And that's the thing, like how are you going to fizzle something like that when we've always wanted Braun Strowman to have the title, to have this monstrous run,
or a guy who gets over on his own to actually get pushed.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who fans just started to cheer for, and they're like, all right, let's run with it. Why did they throw that shit away, Derek?
Let's also not forget that he's also remember that green championship that he won in India?
Oh, yeah. The greatest whatever.
He's never defended it. And
longest running was like 1,000 days or something.
Yeah. He's going to eclipse Bruno Sammartino at this point.
Now, from my understanding, a lot of it had to do with Braun's contract and how much he was getting paid.
Yeah.
So on one hand, good for him. Good for him for at some point securing that bag, because obviously it was during a period of time.
It was a big bag.
WWE was making
Big bag. I got the biggest bag.
I mean, obviously, it ends up costing him because you get to a point where you're kind of a liability. You make so much money. It's kind of like an athlete that got a big contract, but they're not performing at the level that they were when they got signed, right?
But he was performing. That's the only
I'm not saying he wasn't, but I'm saying like they kind of squeezed that orange for all that they could. They tried to get Braun over. They tried to do a couple of different things with him. They tried to have him heel. They tried to have him face. Nothing really seemed to.
They gave me choo-choo train noises.
They did. They gave him all the train noises.
That was so dumb.
They gave him a shirt with his face on the front of the train like he was Tank.
Thomas the Tank and shit.
I don't know what to say other than after a while you realize that you kind of are overpaying someone, just like a baseball team. Like I made that joke today about the WWE taking over the Tampa Bay Rays mentality when it came to roster management, right? But the one thing that the Tampa Bay Rays don't do is overpay for anybody. It doesn't matter how valuable you are to the team. As far as they're concerned, they can find another guy like you. So they'll tank and they'll get rid of you and they won't pay you their contract. And in 3 seasons, they'll be right back to being just as good as they were because they got some prospects. They found some young draft picks and somehow they put it all together where the young guys are doing just as good as these guys that wanted $45 to $50 million a year and shit like that. Right.
Yeah.
When it comes to WWE, they create their own stars. They do their own thing.
Like Braun Strowman.
Like Braun Strowman. Now, the one thing about Braun Strowman is he's an athletic big man that can wrestle and has charisma and kind of has it all. That's kind of rare, right? Like Big Show made a career off of just being big when he really wasn't talented in any other way. I love Big Show. Don't get me wrong. I've watched pretty much the entire time I've been watching wrestling.
Big Show is awesome.
I've watched Paul White. From like the time I came back, he was just debuting in WCW up until like now where he left WWE. He is one of the oodles and oodles of people that were let go, by the way, this year by WWE. The list is insane. Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Lana, Buddy Murphy, Santana Garrett, Alexander Wolf, Vanessa Bourne, Jessamine Duke, Velveteen Dream. I mean, these guys, Samoa Joe, Billy Kay, Peyton, Mickey, Chelsea Green, Kalisto, Tucker, Bo Dallas, Blake Murphy, Andrade, Zelina, which I think I was wrong on that.
Blake Murphy.
Did I mess that up?
Blake Murphy.
Wesley Blake.
And then we said Tom Phillips, and then the other commentator,
Art Sullivan.
What was the other commentator?
Burke.
Adnan?
Something like that.
Yeah, he was let go already.
That was a bummer. I like that.
It's been a while here. Like I will say that like some of the ones that were let go today were very surprising, right? I think the one thing which this doesn't really kind of cover everybody, but in a way, everybody that was recently let go has, or at least in 2001 or 2021, they've gotten rid of anybody that had any kind of controversy in a way attached to them, right? Like Braun got a lot of bad.
Not everybody, a good amount, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is it doesn't cover everybody, but I'm just saying. Obviously, there's the Velveteen Dream situation and Lars Sullivan that got addressed, and those are things that were kind of well known, and people kind of questioned even why those guys were still with the company at one point. But like even Braun, with some of the comments he's made. Aleister Black, like I said,
shitting on indie wrestling. Remember that, man?
Yeah, just the whole pull yourself up by your bootstrap stuff. You had Aleister Black, who, like I said, had this weird, as he talked about today, this weird thing where people thought he was part of, some sort of pedophilia thing, just based on his tattoos. Drake Wirtz was let go. Obviously, we know what was going on.
Yeah, we talked about the QAnon possibilities for sure.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff there that it feels like WWE and the new kind of focus for the future.
Yeah,
was kind of just to part ways with anybody that it seemed like they had public scrutiny against them in some way. Even Santana Garrett was linked to Jason Rance.
Well, she also had a video posted recently where she was cruising in the water down this path. This waterway. It starts zooming in on fuck Biden and Trump 2024 or posters or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, the Jason Rance thing. Immediately, you're like, oh, sus.
But when Aleister Black went on Twitch today, he said that he was told that it was because of the budget cuts, which is weird because they just invested a bunch of, or they paid him obviously to stay off TV, and then they reintroduced him with Big E,
strong,
and he was getting a bunch of stuff.
Don't even get me started on the amount of money that they have invested in Aleister Black recently.
You remember his sweet intro? That cost a lot of money.
Dude,
they were talking about how it's literally like one hand isn't talking to the other. Like, wait a minute. Didn't we just put a ton of money? Yeah, but we weren't really into that at all.
Hold on. He had an animated promo segment every week on SmackDown.
Yeah, leading up to it.
That had animation with it. Like, that's so fucking wild because some people don't even get proper lighting when they're doing promos and they're coming back like this. And this motherfucker got animation. He got a sweet pair of David Koresh fucking glasses. They had him. He
got a sweet contact lens.
His t-shirt is still in the pre-order phase on WWE Shop. You can
pull that.
Buy it. I don't know.
No, it's still
they probably still want that change.
They want that money. Give me that money. I mean, I've
get
seen
that
guys that have been. I've seen guys that are fired that had their merch in the clearance section for like 6 months after they were gone. You know,
honestly, one time I saw a Zack Ryder shirt pop up on the clearance, and I didn't realize it was a clearance. I'm like, is Zack Ryder coming back? Holy shit!
Yeah, I was actually flipping through the clearance section when I saw this Aleister Black shirt, and I think I saw a Lars Sullivan shirt. I'm like, that guy's been gone forever though.
Oh, that would be like a collector's item.
See, check this out. It's still right here.
Still right there, and it's a sweet ass shirt too.
Yeah, it's a pre-order.
Sweet story. I mean, I think of Aleister Black a lot of times. My concern was that they were going to drop the ball with Aleister Black. Like they weren't going to know what to do with his character because he's so dark and he's so legitimately what he is, right? He talked a lot today on the Twitch stream about how, you know, there's a lot of kind of ignorance about like who he is as a character versus who he is as a person. A lot of rumors and speculation kind of lead to his legendary status kind of coming up where people think all this stuff is true about him when in fact it's not. He did do a great podcast one time though with Colt Cabana on the Art of Wrestling, and he talked a lot about his family being Luciferians and on how weird his upbringing was, and just a lot of it explained how kind of dark of a guy he is and everything that he is, right? But he legitimately seemed to me like one of the coolest, most interesting professional wrestlers that I had heard speak, or just as far as the overall package was concerned.
Awesome presentation.
Well, I just never thought, and I've never seen anything like him. And because of that, I was like, this guy is going to be the biggest fucking thing in wrestling. And that even included him getting signed by WWE, because I was like, it doesn't matter. He's too cool for WWE to fuck up. And they really didn't. Like, they really didn't mess
I think I said that too, dude. I literally think I said that. I gotta go delete that. I don't want anyone to bring that up.
No, it's true though, right? Because it's like he was such a perfect character that it's like, unless they change everything about him and give him the worst gimmick ever, there's no way they can mess this up. And they really
and let's not forget, like he messed up, or he didn't mess up. I'm sorry, they messed him up when he moved to the main roster, because in NXT
they didn't give him anything. Like all they gave him,
they put him in a room asking for people to stop by and say hello.
Correct. Well, that and the weird entrance that looked super stupid when they had to do it on the road when they were traveling versus the friendly confines of NXT where they could set up his little rising platform in a cool way. I was just amazed because as much as I thought that was cool in NXT, I never thought of that being what defined him as a character.
No,
yet somehow on the main roster,
it's what got him to the dance.
That's what's it, right? Like the entrance. I just think that they, like, it's frustrating from a standpoint of why the hell did you invest this money in him? What the fuck were you thinking? What kind of bonehead decision is it that you wasted this much money on some guy that you were just going to let go? You know, like, I understand Braun. From a perspective, it feels like Braun got his final shot to see if he could move the needle in any way. They weren't impressed with him. So they decided, like, hey, instead of paying this guy all this money to be essentially a mid-carder, because that's where we want to put him now at this point, let's just cut ties with him and go. That's fine. Aleister Black literally came out, kicked Big E in the face, and then disappeared forever into the fog. Like, that's such a weird thing. I mean, I was excited for a rivalry between Aleister Black and Big E. I felt like that was going to be a career-defining rivalry for Big E. Big E has this thing where he's kind of still this cartoon character, and he's still kind of like friendly and bubbly and happy and all of that. Aleister Black could have been the thing that drained that from him and turned Big E potentially into the next evolution of what he was going to be as a character. Like that. I mean, I'm putting way more into that rivalry just based on the fact that it was going to happen than you know, maybe it.
Well, there's so much potential there, so it's rife with opportunity. So I can understand why you would speculate.
It felt awesome, and I mean, immediately that's what I thought. Right, Big E, unicorns, fucking rainbows, happiness, sunshine. What a great person to put Aleister Black against, to just be like,
Rainbows,
no,
everything.
that's not the real life. That's not the real world. The real world is dark and terrible. And I mean, you could have even had Aleister Black come out on top, and still you would have had Big E somehow come back as a stronger, better version of himself, and it would have been amazing. You know, I don't know, man, but
I saw that. I was like,
why
are people like,
yes. I don't like this.
I like this.
Let's put all the spooky guys together.
I think it's fucking rad. This is so rad. I like this so much.
No
I
way.
feel like sometimes things are very
only if Aleister Black showed up and joined Darby and they kicked.
Don't you remember don't you remember the Brood? Don't you remember like the Acolytes? Don't you remember like the dark faction that Undertaker had? Like, this stuff is cool in my opinion. Yeah, the Ministry. Thank you.
Darkness.
Yes.
Yeah, but Sting is not dark like these two. Like, Sting is like he wears face.
He comes out like the Crow. He comes out in the dead of winter.
No.
I mean,
Beek, say it. He's a fucking poser, Neo.
He's a goofball. I love Sting, but he doesn't look scary, and he's religious, so it's all fake.
Seen the Crow. I bet he has no idea who Brandon Lee is. I am suspect that Crow.
Sting's like, I'm not working with this Aleister Black guy.
It's
He's not religious at all.
Kayfabe.
I don't think Sting
in this kayfabe scenario
suspend your disbelief a little bit. Jesus Christ.
No, I don't want to.
No, I don't want that. But you know what's funny is that is exactly what AEW would do with him.
Yeah. I just thought it looked fucking metal.
It does look kind of cool, but it's almost like so obvious.
We need to talk about the most important thing.
Well, think about it. Like, that's kind of what happened with the Dark Order. They came out all.
No, that's what needs to happen. Aleister Black comes and makes the Dark Order dark again. That would be fucking rad.
Holy shit. If he was the new leader of the Dark Order, oh my God.
Yeah, get rid of all the goofy shit. Like 10 stops being a Joker goof mask. He just takes the mask off.
No, send Aleister Black to Mexico and have him like partner with Bestia, Seis, and like the Psycho Clown guys.
Yeah. Get that deep street cred and then come up to AEW. Now, I, meanwhile, need to see Braun Strowman paired with John Silver. And I don't know if I want him to just treat John Silver like it's his baby son, or if he'll carry John Silver in a back, or if they do some sort of
Bjorn, like on a Bjorn.
Like a baby Bjorn. Like he comes out like in a little thing that Braun Strowman wears, or Incredible Hulk gimmick. John Silver turns into Braun when the lights go on and off. Braun's there, kicks his ass, boom, turns back down. Could have a shirt. It could be on Braun all ripped and small. When you know what I mean, like there's a lot of potential there.
Dude, the very first 3-2-1 battle show I went to, there was a guy named Mighty Mac who, while he was wrestling, picked up a mushroom and started twitching and went backstage. And then a guy came out who was wearing the same clothes, but he was ginormous, and that was the gimmick. He would use a mushroom to become gigantic. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that Tom and Jerry episode.
I like it. I'm with it.
Hang on, the reason I was messing around over here because you guys, my window was open and my sprinkler came on and started spraying water all over my computer.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
That's
What
a
an
good
amateur.
reason to break the show real fast. No, I did want to talk about Lana though, and how sad I am for Lana being gone. Now, on one hand, I will admit that Maurice has replaced Lana in my heart as my
Lord.
because Maurice has just proven to be the kind of I don't know, ride or die that one could only hope for. Mike Mizanin, you definitely lucked out. Now, Lana, I think, to be honest, did a great job.
She had.
I expected this to go.
She did a better job on social media than what they were giving her for sure.
That's very true, and I also think that I expected this a lot earlier, a lot sooner. Obviously, with Rusev leaving and going to AEW, you had that opportunity for them once her contract ended or whatever, and that could be the case here. Maybe this is a situation that Lana wanted. I'm not sure exactly. I will say that, you know, it's hard to be away from the person you love, even though they're both in Florida and they could probably see each other regularly. But
I'm sure they do.
Once
traveling starts happening.
Yeah.
But really, could you work for Coke and date somebody who worked for Pepsi? Not me, friend. Not me.
No. What kind of loyalty is that? But I honestly think it's kind of like Raw and SmackDown, even. Like, you know, they at times try to accommodate the fact that there are couples in WWE, and one of those factors.
Yeah, it was like Andrade and Flair,
right?
You know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, Raw and SmackDown travel differently, and it's difficult to, you know, be happy when you don't get to see your significant other ever. I legitimately hope that this is exactly what Lana wanted. I just think that, to be honest, she deserves her flowers a bit. I think that she was never meant to be a wrestler. Obviously, she came in as a ballet and she made that transition. She's never a great wrestler, but after a while, the exact thing that we kind of laughed about at one point happened, where they put her through enough goddamn tables that people were eventually like, stop, she doesn't deserve this. And they weren't meaning like Lana the character, they were meaning Lana the wrestler, the person. And then that kind of transcended over to her character where people kind of got behind her. I thought they did a good job of making that a thing. I thought they did a good job of making the tag team with Naomi something that, you know,
wasn't it Ravishing Glow?
Well, I mean, it was better than I feel like 3 of 4 of the other.
No, I'm not making fun of it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the combination. I just thought.
But yeah, no. Yeah, that's definitely some kind of stupid shit that they would call it. Like, they didn't treat any of their women well. I mean, I heard at one point that they were calling the fucking Mandy and what's her name? They were calling them the Muscle Barbies, and I was like, where the hell is that kind of name? Like, there's the weird situation where they don't really
like the Muscle Friends or some shit.
Muscle Friends. I hate
that.
Yeah.
That was the name of my tag team when I was like 8.
Yeah.
Muscle Friends?
Muscle Friends.
We got muscles and we're friends. Doesn't it make sense? That's it.
Pretty straightforward, actually.
Yeah, right? Kind of like looking at Apollo Crews and being like, I'm picking up Rocky vibes, but I'm also thinking Terry Crews. Your name's Apollo Crews. Like, I feel like that's how they fucking do the names. Like,
that's exactly how they did it.
You know, but I don't know. I think that it's easy for us as fans to see the downside in all of this. I know that I'm heartbroken by the loss of Lana, and I think that she went through all those goddamn tables for nothing. But I'm sure she'll find success in AEW. I'm sure they'll put her and Miro back together. I'm sure they'll be able to kind of rekindle maybe some of that Rusev Crush energy that they had at one point early on.
When I brought that up today on Twitter, somebody goes, nah, because in the storyline, Miro said to Kip that he shouldn't have his wife at ringside, so he probably wouldn't do that. I'm like, you don't understand that a heel contradicting himself is the
most
is wrestling.
Yeah.
that's wrestling.
Yeah.
That's mean.
Why is this up on my screen?
This is what I want. I want this tag team to happen.
Okay.
You want her? No, it'd be awesome if she just showed up to kick his ass.
Exactly. Okay, there you go. Get the feud going. Get a feud going.
Yeah, because they have their factions. They have their faction. What are they called? The bachelors or the best men? Or no, that's Miro, but there's something that those guys, the wingmen. The wingmen. He's part of the wingmen.
The wingmen.
Yeah. It's
All
a bunch
right.
of dudes. It's a bunch of dudes that got each other's back when they go out trolling for tail. You know what I mean?
Trolling for tail, Derek.
Rolling for tail.
I'm using their terminology. This isn't my terminology right now.
They
Word,
touch
word,
they
word.
they touch tips with their pinkies.
Sure.
Oh,
Pinkies up to the sky. Were any of these releases surprising to you guys? Did you guys?
no, yes, yes.
Me
The
personally,
majority were.
yeah.
The only one I wasn't really shocked about was Santana Garrett, just because that video just popped up recently and is like the easiest excuse to get rid of her. But
you see
Braun Strowman's shocking, dude. Braun
Yeah.
Strowman, they put so much money and time and energy and it would seem like a bad move to get rid of the guy, because if, like, say he does want to go to AEW and AEW does want to use him, they could easily make him like a top star. Like,
Yeah.
Braun Strowman is, as much as he turned out to be kind of a dork as a human being, like, he's a larger than life spectacle. That's the kind of thing you want to see when you go to wrestling.
Every wrestling promotion wants or needs or dreams
guy
of
that
having
looks like that, yeah.
some sort of giant-like character.
Right.
He can even go to Japan and become like a new.
He could be.
I'm not saying to be Bruiser Brody in quality, but he could be that scary, gigantic monster that they're afraid of.
Well, I was talking today to someone about Joel Embiid in NBA, and it's just so weird the way that his injury went. And typically with big men, no matter what sport you're talking about, injury is a huge risk, right? Because with as big as they are, their bodies tend to be frail in areas like joints and such when they do, professional sports or any kind of high-level athletics. I will say that someone like Braun Strowman, who seemingly is in such great shape for being such a big man and so mobile and so athletic, it really does seem like a rarity to me, and the exact kind of thing that WWE wants. Not to mention, Neo, that Braun Strowman is the father of every kid in this town.
So much so that he even holds champions with them.
Yeah. Braun Strowman once showed me a video of him making love to my wife, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
I think you played me a song about it.
Yeah. He'd eat a homeless person if you dared him.
Well, people got to eat.
His poop is used as currency in Argentina.
I heard he can fertilize a whole field.
He sweats Gatorade.
Delicious.
He once breastfed a flamingo back to health.
You know what? And now he stands on 4 legs.
He hated Mexicans, Neo. And the ironic thing, he's half Mexican.
Ay, caramba. What the hell is he doing back there?
I don't know. He's trying to kill time until he comes back. Little known fact, Braun Strowman sheds his skin once a year.
Oh, and then they use that skin to make the titles, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And then they put Velcro on it now. I don't know if you saw that, but the titles have Velcro on it. Nothing to me was as goddamn embarrassing as Bobby Lashley needing to unvelcro the WWE Championship belt in front of a group of women. I don't know.
You know
why.
what though?
I heard it go when he unvelcroed it.
That's nothing, because when he went to go pay for drinks, he had to unvelcro his wallet too. Well, I'll say this though, in regards to the releases as well, my man. When it came to Aleister Black, that was the one that surprised me the most, just because again, the recent run-in with Big E and the vignettes, right? And Aleister Black, he was always that person that if you ask me, like, who would you want to see brought up, or who would you want to see in like a match, or like if you had to pair somebody to go up against somebody, like who would you want? Like it was always Aleister Black for some reason, just because his wrestling shoot style, it's just something that I always like to watch.
And he seems really gifted, like his kicks, for instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's something about the way he does it that obviously enables people to be able to take them the way they do, because when they show the replays of him, he just plants his goddamn foot right on their face. And sometimes he hooks the foot part around their head after he kicks them. I understand kick pads and all of that, but his kicks look pretty fucking devastating. And on top of that, everybody seems to sell him so well. From that perspective, it makes me think that that's a rare talent, that you can actually look like you're striking someone as hard as he does without actually hurting them. Not to mention his other physical gifts, his ability to be as athletic as he is, his mixed martial arts skills, just the flips and the shit he does, the sitting cross-legged in the ring. Yeah, I know that's kind of a CM Punk thing we saw one time, but that's been Tommy N's thing for a long time.
That was his moniker.
Doing the backflip and landing into a seated cross-legged thing in the middle of the ring. It's just so cool. Everything about him is so cool. Not to mention the fact that, once again, he's one of the people I like to say is a great person in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
We had the honor of meeting him one year at PWG Bola. We had the honor of eating a late night dinner next to him, kind of with him a little bit. It was at Denny's, so everybody's.
Oh well, yeah.
It's not like we were with him at the same table, but it was just like you got the opportunity that night to see him interact with other people. I think that's the thing that I kind of pay attention to sometimes. Yeah. I'm okay sometimes when I have kind of an off-putting interaction with a pro wrestler, because I'm the atypical pro wrestling fan. I'm a guy in my 30s. I have a beard. I'm a little bit overweight, and I know way too much about pro wrestling for my own good. And I get that they see a lot of us, you know, so I don't really.
Yeah, we start to blend together.
I don't take that much offense to it, right? But
yeah,
for me, it's how I see people interact, wrestlers interact with other people, and it doesn't really matter who it is. It might even be another dude that looks like me, but I almost pay more attention to that than how they treat me. I always feel like I'm going to be in my own feelings about it, you know. At the same time, too, a lot of people that have been shitty to me turned out to be shitty people, right? Like, even with at times having pretty pleasant interactions with Joey Ryan online, Joey Ryan was always a piece of shit to me in person. He just couldn't give a fuck about paying attention to me for 5 seconds, you know, when I came up to like a table of his at an event or to buy merch or whatever. Like, he just had no legitimate care to, you know, to interact with people.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that we hear what we hear, right? And when we hear what we hear that, you know, obviously Joey Ryan is a fucking terrible person in other ways. I've witnessed that. I've witnessed the way that he would, you know, use his status to kind of
sleazeball himself in real life
towards other things, you know. But at the same time, I'm just saying, like, it's sometimes not surprising when I look back at the poor interactions I've had, where those people are at now. Meanwhile, I'll say, like, Matt Riddle, for instance, was one of the nicest people I ever met. I know he's had some weird
allegations.
I know he's had some allegations against him, but I'm just saying, from a perspective of his attitude, he was always really cool with fans at events that I went to and saw him at.
Yeah, 100%.
Right now, here he is at WWE at a really high level.
Same with like Keith Lee, you know, he's another perfect example.
Keith Lee's just a legitimately kind human being. He has these authentic moments with people on Twitter where he describes like meeting them at a place or a time. And that's something I've never really seen anybody ever. I don't know if he's trying to prove to that person how much he knows them or remembers them. Like, yeah, I remember you as that one time when we were in Texas and you came up to that, you know, but like
in kayfabe, I choose to believe that he has a great heart and a mind of an elephant.
He really does. He really does.
Well, to put a cap on the Aleister Black thing, the bright side is, you know, he got to meet his wife on WWE. He was able to show a portion of his creativity, but all in all, I think when it came to the releases, yeah, man, Aleister Black is the person that shocked me the most, because he had WWE, to quote Michael Scott, WWE has no idea how high he could fly.
Beautifully said.
That's it.
Beautifully said.
Now, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Of all the releases, who's going to Bullet Club?
Bullet Club is fine.
Bullet Club is fine, everybody.
Actually, you know, to be honest, of all the releases, the person who I could see in New Japan the most is Buddy Murphy.
Well,
I think his wrestling style was outstanding.
He's definitely like a super junior quality.
Right. And I just don't really understand what he did particularly wrong. I feel like everything he's been asked to do, he did. I felt like the rivalry with Seth ended up pretty well.
He ate a lot of shit with that too. It was pretty bad.
You know what I never got to see him do was just be a wrestler. Like I never got to see him
when he was in the cruiserweight division, like he was a really good wrestler in the cruiserweight division.
No, that's what I'm talking about. But that was pre Seth Rollins, right?
Pre Seth Rollins.
I'm talking about once he's
like main roster
variety, right? Like they moved him into a weird
disciple storyline.
No, after that, after he came out of the disciple storyline with Seth Rollins, they moved him into a weird storyline where he was
with Aaliyah, with Rey
Mysterio's daughter, and a lot of people had a problem with that, obviously, based on the age difference that they knew between these two people. I understand people saying that. I also think it's wrestling. I think, and I will say this, that sometimes when I see that kind of stuff, I realize how hard of a time wrestling in general has of just doing storylines and such, because it's wrestling. So in some cases, yeah, they're kind of trying to make the situation something that you feel uncomfortable about, blur the lines, or just straight out make you dislike a person.
The goal is to always get some sort of dialogue started. Right. Sometimes whether it be good or bad. I feel like that's kind of where the ship has been being steered towards, is just let's just get some sort of dialogue out there into the universe.
Now the problem is that people know that wrestling is a scripted show, so they immediately, instead of the old dialogue that we used to have, which was like, "Man, I can't believe what a piece of shit Hulk Hogan is," or whatever, and that wasn't because of the stuff he said on a video. That was because he turned heel and joined the NWO. That was a whole other thing. But like just kind of that, right? Like the dialogue was different at one point because we didn't know as much and we didn't have the same kind of attitude towards it. We kind of blamed the character and the show and the plot line and stuff that was going on. And now I feel like people go directly at the writers and they go directly at WWE for doing this storyline and allowing it to go on.
And let's talk about that a bit, because how many times have we heard the story that Vince McMahon or somebody says, nope, scrap it, and we got to change it all up last minute? How many times have we heard that realistically?
So many times.
So many. And so that was kind of one thing that Aleister Black, he actually defended the creative team a bit on his stream.
He actually did a lot. I thought he defended WWE a lot.
The bridge was left intact. Like he definitely left the bridge intact. In fact, it's probably even wider now. But that said, I mean, yeah, you know, let's not forget, like the old man is changing stuff up at the last minute. There's even speculation about these firings are it's how would I put it? It's
cost-cutting measure so that they can sell WWE.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like steps towards. It was the beginning, the preliminary steps towards the measures taken by a company to devalue itself, so when they sell it, they can gain more from profit.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because I think that there was a period of time where any WWE fan would have said, absolutely not.
It's never happening.
I don't want this company to be sold to some, some studio, some television studio, some movie studio, some company that's now going to run it. But WWE itself has now become an unstoppable juggernaut as far as a corporate conglomerate, right? To the point where we've talked about quite often that they are more worried about all of the other things that are WWE than the actual television show they put on that supports all of this, right? That's the key. It's the catalyst, is the wrestlers and the show and the stuff they do, and then everything else should at the end of the day revolve around that. But it doesn't feel like that at times. It feels, oddly enough, like there's this set importance on growing all of these other arms and divisions of WWE. but not really worrying about what kind of product that they put on television.
You know what's funny is there was something that I remember reading or listening to that back in the day when the WWF at the time, they actually did very limited television. They used television as a promotion to get people to come to live events. And
Right.
when live events diminished, there was no money coming in from them.
Right.
So therefore,
You mean
is
COVID? Are you talking about COVID? Like,
yeah,
no.
yeah. So with that in mind, do you feel like WWE is still hurting because of that business mindset that they use the shows to promote more live attendance, and they're not making money off merch, they're not making money off of endorsements, like you said, these different arms that protrude out of the WWE monster, and they're not focusing on one of their main things, which is television, right? Because now without television, they're not gaining as much money as they would selling tickets, selling merch, getting endorsements, selling pay-per-views.
I don't know, man. I don't know, because I don't know if we're qualified at this point to even dive into this
But
stuff.
everybody on the news sites has been saying that WWE is still, even in the pandemic, making money hand over fist.
Sure,
So it really makes you want to scratch your head.
they really are. They have the Fox deal. They have whatever their USA deal is.
The
They have-
Peacock deal.
I mean, when you talk about the fact that, yes, they do have to rent space at Tropicana Field or wherever they're at currently for the Thunderdome, they're still saving a ton of money on
Overhead. On other
how
things.
costly it is to do a traveling
Mhm.
wrestling show that goes from city to city. I think when you talk about the change in live attendance, I don't think it was just during COVID. I mean, we were talking quite often
Yeah.
about the way that WWE needed to disguise the arenas.
That's right.
It looked like it was full.
I
As a
remember
matter of
that.
fact, one time I came to a show with nosebleed seats and I got put on the floor. And it was wild because it's not even something I asked for. I came into the arena. I was supposed to pick my tickets up at Will Call. When I got to Will Call, they told me that WWE came and got my Will Call tickets and that I needed to go see a WWE representative. And I didn't know what I had done wrong in the moment. I was
You
there with
broke
my
the rules.
I just had two, right? I just had two tickets. They were comps, so I didn't even know where they were at. I didn't care because they're comps. I'm not picky like that. Beggars can't be choosers. And then I go over to, the WWE people that are kind of set up at this table over here, and they go, "Oh yeah, you were in section 205, which is upper deck." And they're like, "We're putting you in E," So
Yeah.
I was geeked out. We were on the floor. We were right next to the ramp. We got like Becky Lynch the man signs. My daughter had a great time. She enjoyed all the fireworks and being close to the stage because the entrances are fun for kids. They don't care as much about the wrestling as much as like the fireworks, and at least my daughter does.
So do you feel like at this point, like as we got something in the chat, that Disney can buy the WWE?
I don't know if Disney would want to. I say
It's probably gonna be like NBC.
Disney has already past Universal. Disney, I think, already has spread themselves pretty thin. From what I understand, WWE's cost-cutting measures are similar to what ESPN has gone through. ESPN had a lot of kind of high-paid journalists, and
Sure.
they were whatever you want to call them. They were famous ESPN journalists. They were
Influencer type. Yeah.
types, right? But at the end of the day, they're still paying someone a ton of money to do the exact same job that they can pay some relatively no-name person to do it, and they'll make that person into a star on top of that, because that no-name person anchoring Sports Center or any other show on ESPN is going to become famous based on the fact that they're on that network. I think ESPN hasn't even really shown any sports for God knows how long, so I don't even know what ESPN is anymore as far as an entity.
Yeah.
But I think that Disney isn't going to get into something like WWE at this point when they don't even
Nah. If the library's already sold to NBC, I mean,
Right.
It's not
It,
gonna
it
happen.
feels like the writing's on the wall there.
But you're right. Like now that they're kind of paired with NBC, now it brings up the possibility, like, well, if they really offset or offshore or sell this business, it's going to go to some sort of TV guy, and then this TV guy is going to try to make a wrestling show.
And here's the thing: is I at one point, like I was getting to or alluding to earlier, that might have been a like perish the thought kind of moment.
Yeah.
But now it almost feels like the last 10 years has been WWE trying to struggle to figure out how to get back on track.
Yeah, the writing was on the wall. We just didn't see it till now.
There was that thing on Monday Night Raw one time where Vince McMahon, Stephanie, and Triple H came out. And they basically said that they were just reversing course and they were going to do whatever you wanted to do. And they were going to like start pushing the fan agenda. And
that lasted for 2 weeks.
They never did that, right? Exactly. It lasted for 2 weeks. They never did that. And I mean, in some cases, you could even say at times SmackDown became that. SmackDown became this weird metaphor for WWE kind of holding their power over us. It was like, we're going to make Roman Reigns the champion, and he is going to be the biggest, most powerful end boss.
Then he's going to be a heel. You guys want heel Roman.
Which is what you fuckers always wanted. But then we're going to put all of your little favorite indie darlings up against him. It doesn't matter who. Cesaro, Daniel Bryan. You fucking want Edge back? We'll fucking throw Edge against him. And we'll have him beat every single one until you and your little independent wrestling loving friends are so demoralized that you never ask us to push any of these fucking guys ever again. At times, that's what it's felt like. I mean, you like Kevin Owens? Well, we're going to have Kevin Owens lose to Roman Reigns. We're going to make everybody lose to Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Yet, oddly enough, they still told, with that situation and that scenario, the best story that they have told on either of the main shows in God knows how long. And it's still going on. You had the Usos and this friction between them. You have Jay, you have Jimmy coming back and just kind of being his old self, and Jay kind of still just being this brainwashed version of a lackey to Roman Reigns that he is. It's the only thing at times with WWE's main two shows that I want to see that I have any interest in.
Yeah, NXT and SmackDown are the only things that I at any point want to invest any time in.
NXT is a completely different story, and I'm not even throwing them into this because NXT, I feel like, does stuff just from week to week sometimes. That makes me interested. I think that Hit Row is one of the best goddamn things in professional wrestling right now. I love Legado del Fantasma, even though they've kind of, pushed them a little bit to the back. I love a lot of things that NXT is doing right now. The one thing with NXT has been patience when they get guys like Bronson Reed, who kind of take a while to emerge, but now is the North American champion. They're just eventually NXT gets around to almost everybody, it feels like. Even when they have somebody like Cameron Grimes that isn't really winning any championships or in any kind of major title situations, still feels like he's one of the biggest stars on NXT just because with the push that they're doing and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase stuff and everything else. Like there's a lot of fun on NXT.
There is a lot of fun on NXT.
I said it a long time ago, but unfortunately wrestling is one of those businesses where there needs to be a lot of change. There needs to be a lot of fresh things happening. Otherwise, you get somebody facing off like what we saw, at one point with like John Cena and Edge, where it seemed like John Cena versus Edge was the main event every single pay-per-view for like 6 months. You're going to grow stale and bored of that. With NXT is, I just feel like NXT is both, fantastic and a detriment to the overall product, because any new people that come into the company go to NXT. Any even sometimes even with someone that's been there for a while that they want to try new things with, like Finn Balor or Fandango and Tyler Breeze, they can still put them in NXT and have them try different stuff. It's fun and it's exciting. Without that new injection of a new talent coming in, here and there and everywhere, the main roster doesn't feel that exciting anymore.
No.
Right. And so you could say, oh, well, they bring up NXT guys. That's fine. But that's still not exciting. That's still somebody that's been introduced. I'm talking about like when Kushida showed up on an episode of NXT when he first got signed, or Keith Lee, or like anytime they show those guys in the crowd at a takeover, and the next thing you know, they're at NXT. None of that happens on Raw or SmackDown anymore.
Ever.
So now Raw and SmackDown are just left to be boring and stale with the same old roster, or in some cases, you know, when we do get new guys, it's kind of leftover bits. I saw a lot of people talking this week about Adam Cole popping up as the #1 contender for the NXT championship. Not only do people not like it because it doesn't make sense, because Adam Cole hasn't won shit lately, but a lot of people were in the hopes that Adam Cole was going to show up on SmackDown.
I hope not.
His disappearance there for a week or two was going to mean that he was going to pop up on the main roster and kind of be out of the NXT title picture. I don't know what they'll do with Adam Cole on the main roster anymore without Undisputed Era. I don't know if Adam Cole is going to be handled correctly. I still think that
it shouldn't happen.
I've been impressed with what NXT did with him, but I am sincerely worried about, you know, what would happen.
No, I think he should fight to stay where he's at, just because NXT has now proven that if you come from NXT to the main roster, nothing happens. The only person who's like has a sliver of that right now is Matt Riddle. Think about it. Who else is flourishing on the main roster from NXT?
I don't know.
Maybe Shayna Baszler. Maybe, but she just lost to Reginald.
I don't know if that's even flourishing.
She was a champion.
But
let's also let's just say this. Like you said it earlier, where change is good, and sometimes that just needs to come from a personal point, right? So sometimes wrestling fans, you're listening to this. If you don't like Raw, you don't like SmackDown, don't watch it. Watch something else. Do what you want. Watch what you want. Just find something else that makes you happy.
Support what you feel like is putting on a good show.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel like Raw or SmackDown is, don't feel the need to give them your money once they start touring again and they come to your town. I know.
Absolutely.
I know how
unless it's comped.
That's a whole my point being is I know how it feels. I think that we were talking in our group chat about them bringing SmackDown here to Phoenix the night before SummerSlam, and that's very tempting. You know, I like SmackDown way more than I like Raw, and to be honest, I don't know for sure if we're going to go to SummerSlam 100%. So if we don't, I am there at SmackDown most likely.
If it's comped.
If it's free. If I have to pay for it, I don't know so much. I don't feel like I need to spend my hard-earned dollars as much to watch SmackDown live, you know, when they're not really doing I don't know, when not doing good.
Sometimes, man, those live events are worth it just for the dark match, but I think the dark matches are so hit and miss that they are always subject to change, which is awful. So
I'm going to be interested to see how, once going back to live shows, if anything changes with the WWE, or if they go right back to their old, you know, methodologies, their old policies and procedures as far as doing a live show, right? One thing I have always said about WWE shows is I don't really feel like there's enough non-paid fan interaction with the performers in the crowd. I think that one thing that kept me going back to PWG for years was simply the aspect of the pre-show ritual, with your ability to like both buy a beer and get pictures and autographs with guys all on the same line.
That is the best, man. I really want us to go back to PWG. Hopefully soon.
It's just such a unique experience. And then on top of that, you have the fact that PWG had such a good track record of finding stars that you know are inevitably going to be in WWE. So that you as a fan, you know, you do get that chance to meet him. And then you can say, hey, I met this guy that's now, you know, in a mid-card match on Main Event. And
yeah, I met Jake Atlas last PWG, and now he's surprise winning all the time.
Every single one of his wins is somehow a surprise.
Some sort of surprise roll up.
Anyway,
But it's okay, man. I mean, at this point, wrestling, it is what it is. It sucks that everybody, has cut their losses, but I think wrestling Twitter has been overwhelmingly positive. Like people like Michael Bennett, people like Zack Ryder, everybody's been saying like, dude, the grass is always greener on the other side, right? And if some of them go to AEW, great. If some of them don't, at least as long as they're happy, man. And if people are going to talk shit about AEW for picking these guys up, for giving them a job, in my opinion, you can kick rocks with that.
I don't think it's talking shit as much as it's one of those things that, like, for me, for instance, I think that AEW made some lofty promises. We've talked about how at times they really didn't live up to those lofty promises. At times they slid back into that exact thing that people were expecting them to do initially. It was like they needed some time before they made Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks champions forever and this and that. I think with me, the biggest concern with AEW is their roster, is their size of it, their use of it. I feel like everybody now being involved in a 6-7 man faction just so that they can figure out something to do with everybody at times almost seems lazy. Don't get me wrong. I like a lot of the factions and stuff they're doing. I love Best Friends. I love Chris Statlander. Don't even get me started.
You mean Buttlander?
I love Chris Statlander.
She's a Buttlander.
I love the Inner Circle. I think that they're great.
Well,
I don't know if I'll ever. I need Jericho to stop doing stupid things so that I can stop feeling bad about.
Factions are cool, man, and that's why when people are like, even in our chat, complain about how everybody's going to AEW, I just look the other way, just because they're getting a job, and remember that, kind of like what you said, AEW promised X, but remember, nothing is built overnight. So they're gonna have a second show. They have 2 other shows on YouTube that you don't watch, right? Like there's so much.
Wait, 2 shows on YouTube?
Yeah. Exactly, that you don't watch.
Television?
Yeah.
So
that's
the fucking name of the other one. Stop being so judgmental right now. Look at you. Get that face off your look. Yeah. I'll say this stuff here. Okay,
they're getting there because Rampage is coming, so that's going to be another show.
It's a matter of finding their footing and figuring some stuff out. And I
get there.
And I get that.
But honestly, it's better than what I'm watching in the other brand. So that's why I've personally made the shift to like, what? I'd just rather watch this. Let
me say some things to defend them. First of all, if you're not a loser, you have a group of friends. And chances are, if you're going to get into a fight, you're going to bring your group of friends with you to get into a fight. Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, I'll say AEW does make sense to have this many gangs in their promotion. I'll also say that I think that AEW is very good for professional wrestling, whereas WWE at times seems to take in hopeful, athletic, but wrestlers with a lot of potential and then chew them up and spit them out and then leave them on the wayside with nothing of a career left. I feel like AEW is the opposite. I feel like AEW gives opportunities. I feel like AEW makes indie stars that they're not even going to hire.
They elevate them?
All right, see, I'm not going to do this with you. I am not going to do this with you. But they do. They elevate them, right? Like, they made the biggest deal one time out of Warhorse facing Cody Rhodes for the team.
Oh, that was so fucking... I want to go back to those days. Those days were fun.
And see, that's what I'm talking about, is at times, with the more WWE the talent that they acquire and everything like that, the more they kind of are turning into people's perception of a modern day WCW, right? WCW just became this wayward home for talent to land because they didn't want to quit doing professional wrestling and they still wanted big paychecks. But they knew that coming over to somewhere like AEW or WCW back in the day, it's less pressure, it's less whatever, right? Like, you're going to have your guys that stand out no matter what, like Miro. Miro was a crazy release by WWE. I've put him right up there with Aleister Black.
Who's not in a faction?
I didn't understand them giving up on. I thought that he just had too much charisma and potential and athleticism, not to mention the fact that he's this monster, to let him go. You know,
Who gives me like really big Tong Po vibes from Bloodsport.
God,
Or
yes.
Chong Li from Bloodsport. There you go.
But he's funny as hell. He likes to walk around naked in his backyard and have his wife take videos of him. There's all sorts of good things to love about Miro. And like even the Darby Allin Sting thing, right? As much as I could criticize him for it, if you were to ask me what I would do with Darby Allin and Sting, that's exactly what I would have done with them. I would have totally put Darby Allin with Sting. As a matter of fact, when they had Darby Allin be out there when Sting first debuted on AEW, and he came out and did the like looking at his makeup bit, like, did I father you, boy?
Dad?
Like, I liked that, and my first thought was, oh my god, they need to put these guys together. And then they did, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I like this so much. I'm your typical wrestling fan that when you give me what I want, then I'm like, here, now let me criticize the thing that I was going to criticize you and say you were stupid for not doing. Yeah. Now that you did it, let me criticize you for doing it.
You need to be happy. You need to be more happy.
I can't. They fired Lana. I'm not going to be happy. I'm never going to be happy again.
She's gonna move to AEW, and then you're gonna hate it because Marjo isn't in, or not Marjo. Yeah, not Marjo. Sorry, that's another thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Marjo can get it too. Whatever. I am just. I'm hopeful. I think for these people, I think that they're going to go out. I think
that's all. That's what we can only do. That's the only thing we can do, man. Just be hopeful.
I'm sure that everybody, with the exception of Santana Garrett, is going to find themselves in situations that probably make themselves happier.
And Drake worse, because that guy's the worst.
Garrett, she's going to go around claiming that the election was a fraud more, and I don't know. Maybe she'll find peace in that. I would like to say that Double or Nothing did happen. We did watch it. I know you watched it. You and I watched it a little bit.
No,
I fell asleep drunk on the.
Doesn't count.
I actually watched it the next day while I was covering a baseball game. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought they did a great job with Double or Nothing. Even the main event, I wasn't too excited about, and it ended up being just an incredible match. I would love to see I would love to see Pac versus Kenny Omega in just a one-on-one match.
They should really have their rubber match because I think Pac won Omega the first round, and then Omega won Pac this time around, and they should have their rubber match for sure.
I love Orange Cassidy more than I love most wrestlers in AEW, but I will say, like, I felt this wasn't a great match for him, even though at times he did all the right
orange punched the shit out of everybody. I thought he was fantastic.
It was excessive, but
I loved it, man. It highlighted his strengths, and he played into everything that he does. Yeah, man. Sorry, it was great.
Yeah, he had a really weird interview with Colt Cabana on his podcast, and
it was so uncomfortable.
But it was fun. It was the first time that, like, he is kind of like Aleister Black and a couple of other guys we talked about, where I felt like he had such a good grasp of what his character was, so much so that we, like, the rest of us couldn't understand it. Right? Like, he knows, and I mean, maybe we'll figure it out in bits and pieces, but and then he did that interview with Colt, and I realized he doesn't know. He's just making this shit up as he goes along. That's it.
I love him in BTE when he's just randomly drinking and stuff like that. It's probably like my favorite thing. Or when he would compete for the BTE championship. I miss the BTE championship. Bring that back. I want to see more of that.
I like Orange Cassidy a lot. I like Kenny Omega. I like everything that they're doing.
I like the fact that we saw Orange Cassidy at PWG, and now he's main eventing AEW, man. Like, how fucking cool is that?
He literally fell off a balcony while we were there.
Yeah.
Onto some guys.
Literally. And then Darby Allin got suplexed onto me, and now he was the TNT champion.
And you fucking dropped and ruined our nachos.
Yeah, stop being so negative. Stop worrying about the negative, Derek. Think about the positive.
All right. The positive was that I didn't get any nachos on me. right?
You're missing the point. Anyway, let's pick our winners of the week.
Yeah, let's do winners of the week. Unfortunately, Beek had to leave. He wasn't feeling too great, but I will turn things over to you and ask you, who was your winner of the week?
My winner of the week is going to be, I'll say it's going to be Thea Trinidad, because now she has her husband back. And now they can go bop up and down and do whatever they want. They can go on Twitch and talk about whatever they want and hopefully hold hands into another wrestling company. Maybe she should take them to Mexico and just black mass the shit out of everybody. Who knows? But yeah, that's my winner of the week because I'm pretty sure she's also happy.
I always kind of wanted to see them together, even though,
yeah,
I guess character-wise, for what she was as a character and he was as a character in WWE, it didn't work. I just see her showing up in some fucking Dawn of the Dead shit, some fucking Dia de la Muerte fucking makeup, almost Thunder Rosa like, fucking at some promotion like Ring of Honor stuff, and just being the harbinger of, you know,
La Muerte.
Tommy fucking End coming back.
Yeah, it was between her and Mark Henry, but in light of what happened, I wanted to give it up to her more than anything.
Well, I want to give my winner of the week to her counterpart that you're discussing, which is Tom Boothigan, aka Tommy End, aka like, I don't know if that's how you say his last name right, but
Tommy.
I think that, to be honest, like you said, this is probably a move that, when all is said and done, will be the right move. I know, just speaking from a little bit of experience, that I've had a chance to kind of be given some big job opportunities and things like that involved me being fully committed to my work, which is how I see maybe working for the WWE. They ask so much of you as a person, as a performer. They take so much of your time. Sometimes when you wake up in the morning until you go to bed, your entire day is scheduled by the company, you know, scheduling interviews for you and having appearances and things like that you really have no control over, just like any other job that you have to get up and go to work. I think a lot of people try to get to this level to have freedom, to finally make it, to be like, I'm a star. And instead they find themselves in the same kind of work servitude that anybody finds themselves in when they're working a normal 9-to-5 job, which is not really what anybody wanted going into this kind of career. I think that Aleister Black was a tremendous character, and I think we barely got to even see what he did. Not to mention the fact that when you work for a company like WWE, I imagine you come up with a lot of ideas, right? For your character, for what you want to do, feuds you want to have, things like that. So I just feel like there's that potential that he has a lot of ideas that were turned down, or a lot of ideas that weren't allowed to be used because of one reason or another, that maybe he can resurrect and he can pursue. I truly think he's a tremendous performer, and I think he's a really creative person. I almost forgot that until listening to the Twitch stream today, and just hearing how eloquent he was. But like you addressed earlier, I loved how he had never at any point fell into that trap of bad mouthing the WWE.
Yes.
He did at times say some things about being held back or ideas not being, kind of followed through with, his disappointment with his character, stuff he wanted to do. But to me, if I was a former employer of his and I heard that, I would think like, we dropped the ball on this guy. Because not only did he not use the opportunity to badmouth us, but listen to all these ideas he had. I didn't even know that all of these ideas got turned down. I didn't know that all of this stuff we didn't do. This sounds like great ideas that we probably should have followed through with.
That's what Beek was saying. Like, sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is talking about, and like that's where like the ball can be dropped very, very easily.
Yeah, I don't know, because of all the rumors we've heard, what the true true meaning,
right,
what the true reasoning is. I don't know if, based on my personal speculation, that it had to do with them kind of cleaning house with anybody that had any kind of weird controversy tied to them, no matter what corner of the internet it lived in. I was like a lot of people. I didn't even know that Aleister Black had any kind of weird QAnon beef with those people.
Yeah.
Or any kind of
He was linked to it, like without his knowledge or consent.
Yeah, right. Just the fact that he is this character on TV, and a lot of people that follow QAnon stuff are kind of, in my opinion, easily duped, and it's easy to buy into some character like Aleister Black being a Satan worshiper and everything else that they saw, and then just make those connections from that point.
Drake Worse probably like idolized.
I'm sure he had something to do with this, but
fuck that guy.
I think honestly, I don't really know if Aleister Black was ever going to be given a fair opportunity had he not been let go. I can definitely think of 6 guys right now off the top of my head that should have been let go, and it starts with Riker and ends with Riker, that I would have let go before I let go of someone like Aleister Black. But what are you going to do?
Just hope for the best and cheer for the people who you love.
That's it.
That's all you can really do, man.
It's weird, but WWE is kind of becoming Batman, right?
Yeah.
WWE is creating its own supervillains that one day are going to come back and attack Gotham and overwhelm him, because WWE is producing these stories of people that I feel like empathy for and sympathy for, and that I want to see succeed. And by that same perspective, I also want to see them come back and kind of take WWE down. I don't know. I mean, I really, at the end of the day, just want to be entertained, and I want to stop worrying about so many things that piss me off with real life stuff with wrestling. Like I want to be pissed off by a fucking heel holding a championship too long. Or I want to be pissed off by someone coming in and cutting a promo on the city of Phoenix and how we haven't won a fucking championship. These are the things I want to be pissed off by. I don't want to be pissed off by WWE's employment policies and the fact that they let talented people go. I don't want to be pissed off by controversies with these people happening left to right, like Velveteen Dream and Drake Wirtz and all this other shit. I just can't believe at times that this has become what my wrestling fandom is comprised of.
It's hard because your fedora wants to tip that way, but sometimes, buddy, you just got to tip it the other way. You just got to try your best, man. Honestly, because, I mean, be that what you will, but everybody was talking shit about like Anthony Ogogo and Cody Rhodes and his promo and the fact that this, that, and the third. But honestly, it was an old school British heel versus American hero storyline that I have grown up to watch. Again, it's just about, sometimes you just got to take wrestling not so seriously. Right. But it's hard for us.
Right. This modern generation saw someone like Ogogo as the face in the situation.
Yeah.
Talking about racism and oppression and people that are holding other people down.
He always had like one foot in the heel spirit, and then one foot kind of in the face spirit. So he was kind of like this in-betweener, so that if in case he does pop, like we can still kind of spin it some sort of way. But I felt like, again, the AEW narrative was like, no, we need to make him a heel. But yeah, man, he naturally outgrew it, and that's kind of like the thing, like, well, maybe again, we just can't take it as seriously as it should, because at the end of the day, it's half naked men wrestling in their underwear.
Yeah, that's it, man. And Cody's dressing up like Homelander for some reason.
Exactly.
At times, okay, I'll say
ready
this
for mother's milk.
Let me start off with a compliment. Let me do the compliment sandwich thing. I'm gonna start off by saying, like, Cody Rhodes has always been excellent to me. He follows me on Twitter. We've chatted in DMs. I
like the guy for sure.
Good dude. I really mean that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he means any malice or anything by anything he does. And I honestly think it's kind of just stepping in piles of shit sometimes that he just wasn't looking out for. Things that he says, actions, whatever. I mean, no matter what, it seems like he's always kind of being, kind of put in these situations where he's made to look bad. On the other hand,
and I would be careful with that wording, because it's not made to look bad per se.
Oh, that's
his perception gets twisted. Well,
let's just say not made to look bad. He looks bad. Let's just say he looks bad. He looks bad because of a decision he made or something he said. And it seems to follow him no matter what he does, right? Like, I don't know if he intended to dress like Homelander, but it couldn't be more on the nose that he dressed like Homelander and he's
I
in
didn't.
the Marvel
Yeah,
race.
I didn't see it until someone pointed it out to me.
And again,
So
otherwise,
maybe
it looks like a visual embodiment of that fucking jacket he had from Pro Wrestling Tees that a lot of people called like the insurrectionist jacket, or like what you would wear on
again, it's again, people are choosing to spin a narrative on something, and I just thought it was very like colonial, very like Rough Riders from back in the day or whatever, you
I'll
know.
say this too. This is something that I've even felt, right? Like the other day I was wearing a shirt I like to wear all the time, which is this Ron Swanson shirt. That's a very patriotic shirt. Has Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation
Oh
on
yeah,
it.
the
Waving a white flag, or waving a not white flag, American flag, and then
yeah,
there's
the Roosevelt's fit. Yeah, I
right,
love that thing, man.
right. The problem is that even when I wear that shirt, because of what Proud Boys and people that I don't necessarily want to be associated with wear, at times I feel a little conscious about wearing anything.
It's so bad because I used to love to wear Hawaiian shirts, and now I found out that Hawaiian shirts are associated with Boogaloo Boys. I'm
Right.
like, who the fuck are they?
Right.
Like, and now, no, someone had to bring it to my attention.
Yeah, the Boogaloo Boys needed to code their little fucking thing of calling it the Civil War II,
Yeah.
the Electric Boogaloo. So then they started fucking coding it even more, and they started using Big Igloo or the Big Luau, which is why they started wearing fucking Hawaiian shirts and pissing me off, because that's my aesthetic is Hawaiian shirts and fucking shit. I wear American flags on fucking 4th of July and stuff because, I didn't used to feel I didn't used to feel shame in being patriotic, but now these assholes make me feel that. Just all sorts of things that have changed in my life over the time, right? But I feel like that's that same thing, right? Like it's really it. But let me say this. Every once in a while, Cody does something that makes me sit back and think, does he really know what knows? And I know that seems fucking weird because some of the things that he gets into are like social things where it's not even about his character or something he did on TV. But at other times, I feel like, why would you have such an ostentatious entrance compared to everybody else when you're not even the goddamn champion if you didn't really want people to deep down not like you, right? Like people come out of the left tunnel, they come out of the right tunnel. Cody comes out of his own thing, which probably should be reserved for Kenny Omega being the goddamn champion. But no, instead, Cody Rhodes
talked
without
about
a belt
this.
comes
Cody
out.
Rhodes has been doing this since the beginning. Like that's what he's been associated with.
I understand that, but
I just feel like wrestling fans, they become so pessimistic. They just need to remember that wrestling is wrestling.
No, it's not a pessimism thing. For me, it's a character thing. That's what I'm saying. Is like what's weird with Cody is he would make such a goddamn perfect heel right now, and yet somewhere deep down inside, it even feels.
Oh, I loved.
It even feels
heel
like
Cody. Remember heel Cody in ROH?
Yes, but that's my point. Is I feel like he's even laid the groundwork for that. I even feel like that's what that entrance is about. It's like it was a brilliant thing, but it's really not that. It's just Cody wanted to come out as with the biggest entrance, but it's not like it's like some sort of work where down the road they're trying to do it so that he slowly grinds on you, that you slowly start to hate him, that he slowly starts to have this like ego where he thinks he's bigger than AEW and he's the king of it despite not being a champion or ever, and then that he can just eventually become just so big and corrupt with power that he's just like what the Omega and the Bucks are doing right now as reforming the Bullet Club, right? It's maybe not the right time for it because they are doing that thing.
That's exactly to answer your question, there would be too much of it.
Right.
That's why he's in the mid card doing middle card stuff.
So if he's in the mid card doing middle card stuff, then maybe he should just come out of the goddamn fucking entrance ramp.
He's had that entrance since the beginning, so it just wasn't a problem for me.
Tomorrow it could change it tomorrow.
They could
tomorrow. I'm just saying, if that's the route you want to go,
it's just like FTR coming out in a truck,
But it's not because Cody secretly, I feel like, doesn't understand quite why he gets the reaction that he gets. That's my point. Is it's kind of like the thing where
Again, you're diving into someone's psyche that you may or may not understand
No,
what
that's what but that's what I'm talking about. At times it feels like he's at times it feels like it's planned and directed and it's something that he's doing on purpose. And at other times it feels like he has no idea why he's getting the reaction he's getting. And it's because it feels like it's such a planned work of him turning heel. And it's just him doing stuff.
God,
It's
your
not
fedora is spinning right
no,
now.
I don't know. And that's the problem is none of it's working. It's not working in either way. In the case of like a go-go, like you said, I mean, the only thing that happened at the end of that match is everybody realized they didn't want to watch both of these guys wrestle in a match against each other anymore. And that the match wasn't, good.
Well, yeah, it was a Go-Go's third professional match. What are you going to do?
I just don't understand how Cody is the face when he's attacking a handicapped immigrant from another country that wants to come to America for a better life. How is that a face move?
Because a Go-Go said that the only good thing about America is the money. Everything else is in the toilet.
Is he wrong?
All right. Again, man, perception. Don't be
Thank
so
you guys.
Don't be so pessimistic, y'all.
Thank you, Neo, for listening to episode 493. It's not even that many. It's 443 of the Steel Cage podcast. You can get Neo on Twitter. He is at the NeoX. That's ECKS. I am on Twitter at cap_caveman. And of course, Uncle Beek is on Twitter at James Vanderbeek. That's JAIMS Vanderbeek. And of course, all roads lead to at this Steel Cage. Send us an email. No one's checking that box. It's just gonna die in that box. But one day maybe we'll open the email box like a time capsule and then read all the emails and we'll have a fun episode. So send us an email to podcast@thesteelcage.com and check out our shops. Those are available at thesteelcageshop.com as well as Uncle Beek's shop at pentagonzo.com.
Yes.
Penzagonzo.
That's the one. Pentagonzo.
Spring.org/Pentagonzo. It's not that at all. Neo, do you have anything else? You got Matt Mania podcast number 200 coming up soon. Is that right?
Yeah, we're going to record it this Friday, I believe. So fingers crossed. We'll see if it actually happens, though.
That's exciting.
So, yeah, we'll see. The only thing that I can add is, emails. We also would like to revamp the Patreon for the Steel Cage. So let us know what you'd be into. We would love it if you sent it to us in email form, or if not, reach out to us directly on the social medias. But yeah, we definitely appreciate it.
Definitely. We definitely want your input on that because we want to bring whatever content you guys are interested in. We've kicked around a couple of ideas, including some 100 milligram THC watch alongs with Uncle Beek, as well as a number of other ideas just for shows and things you'd like us to cover. Let us know if you want to hear about MLW, if you'd like an AEW exclusive show, whatever you like. At this point, we're just trying to put together some content that you'd be interested in and help support the show to keep the lights on. A lot of the things we do for this show and for the entire Steel Cage podcast just come out of pocket. So,
yeah,
we'd love the support.
And yeah, absolutely. We just want to make sure that we don't have to pay for wrestling shows ever. That's always been my goal.
That's all we want to do. I want to watch wrestling for free. I got a job as an assistant commissioner just so I could watch wrestling shows for free. And it turns out I'm not allowed to go watch the show. So I have to stay backstage all the time. So I didn't really think that part through. And I'm going to be reassessing this whole assistant commissioner thing. I do want to address one piece of housekeeping in regards to the assistant position thing. I did get hired as the assistant commissioner, not the assistant to the commissioner or commissioner's assistant boy.
Whoa.
The commissioner's lackey. Someone even called me Adrenaline's ass commissioner, which is just wildly inappropriate.
What's the ass stand for?
Yeah, it's assistant commissioner, but they're
they left the T off.
You know what the internet does.
What a bunch of jerks.
Just grow up.
Why don't you know what? Did the current commissioner redo the catering? No. Did the current commissioner have hand sanitizer and wet wipes and all that stuff in the back? Maybe.
I didn't see her getting a single person ready in Gorilla like I was. She was mostly drinking fucking whiskey all night long out of a flask out in the back alley area. So, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm just saying, as far as professionalism goes and amount of work goes, I don't think I should be the part of the commissioning team that's questioned.
You should be co-commissioner.
Co-commissioner. I like that. I like it. We'll talk about that some more. Please check out the other shows that we have on this network. We have the Aussies Top 3. Once again, performing a wonderful episode. Believe it or not, the episodes I've been talking about of Derek and Tim Eat Snacks are in the can. And as soon as I have some time in my life, I will be placing those on the website as well. So I appreciate you guys checking out this show. Thank you guys again for listening to episode 443 of the Steel Cage Podcast. And remember, kids, sometimes you just got to take your fedora and turn it to the other side.